The stars outside shimmered like cold fire. Captain Eli Mercer sat quietly in his small fighter ship, eyes fixed on the enormous slave transport drifting ahead of him. It looked like a floating city, dark, armored, full of secrets. He had seen many ships like it before, but this one was different. The Coldrith Syndicate ran this convoy, known across the galaxy for their cruel work. They captured living beings, intelligent ones from dozens of worlds, and sold them like objects. Eli hated slavers. It was the only thing that kept him going since the war ended. He wasn't part of Earth's military anymore. Now he worked alone. He freed who he could and destroyed what he couldn't. He took a deep breath, checked his weapons and activated stealth mode. His fighter's shape blurred and vanished from radar. Like a shadow, he slipped between the ship's scanning beams and guided himself toward a docking hatch. The hatch hissed open with a small spark. Inside, cold metal walls lined a long hallway lit by weak red lights. Eli moved fast and quiet. His suit kept his steps silent. A pulse pistol rested on his side. Ready. He followed the signs written in Coldrith language. He could read it now after so many missions. Cargo Bay 3. Biological prisoners. That was his target. He passed cells, filled with dozens of species, all weak and tired. Some barely looked up when he passed. Many didn't care anymore. They had lost hope. It made Eli's heart heavy, but he couldn't help them all. Not today then. He found something unexpected. A separate chamber sealed with a thick door. Unlike the others, this one had no lights, no sound, but something inside pulled at him. He placed a device on the lock, and with a soft beep, the door opened. Inside were 10 beings he had never seen before. They were tall, thin, graceful. Their skin was pale but covered in glowing lines, like soft silver tattoos. The lines were dim, barely visible. One of them, a young woman with soft violet eyes, stood slightly apart from the rest. She looked at Eli with calm, curious eyes. "What are they?" Eli whispered. He stepped closer. The collar on her neck blinked an energy suppressor. He had seen these before. They were used to keep slaves from using natural powers. He reached up and gently unlocked it with his tools. The collar clicked, and the device fell, and then she glowed. Her body lit up with soft golden light, flowing through the lines on her skin like sunlight through water. The glow was warm, peaceful, and powerful. The other beings gasped. Some even began to glow faintly themselves, as if her light had awakened something in them. Eli took a step back, startled. The woman looked at him, eyes shining. She spoke softly. "You said, I am free." He nodded slowly. "Yes, you're not a prisoner anymore." She placed a hand over her chest, as if the words reached deep inside her. The glow around her grew brighter, surrounding her in a halo of warmth. Then she stepped forward and gently touched Eli's hand. Her fingers were cool and soft. She bowed her head and whispered a word. "Sivan Tel." Eli blinked. "What does that mean?" But she only smiled. A sound broke the silence's security alarm. They had been discovered. "Move," Eli shouted. He guided the glowing woman and her people back through the halls. Doors opened. Sirens screamed. Coldrith guards began to appear. Eli fired quickly, his shots accurate and clean. The Alari, as he would later learn they were called, moved gracefully, avoiding danger. But they didn't fight. They only followed. The woman, still glowing, stayed close to him. He could feel her light, even in the chaos. As they neared the docking bay, more guards blocked their path. Eli was running low on charge. His breath was heavy, but he didn't stop. He had to get them out. Then something incredible happened. The woman stepped forward. Her glow turned bright white, almost blinding. She raised her hands and the air around them shimmered. A wave of soft light spread across the hallway. The guards collapsed, unconscious, not harmed, just stilled. The Alari looked amazed. Some began whispering in their own language. Their eyes were wide with awe. Eli stared at her. "How did you do that?" "I do not know," she answered gently. The light had returned. "When you freed me." Together, they reached the ship. Eli guided them all into the hold, and the small fighter pulled away from the massive slave ship. The alarms echoed behind them as they slipped into space and jumped into hyperspeed. Only then did he allow himself to breathe. They were safe. For now, in the back of the ship, the Alari sat quietly, glowing softly. Some slept, others simply rested, their faces peaceful. The woman sat near Eli, watching him. He turned to her. "What's your name?" She paused, then spoke clearly. "Salari." "I'm Eli Mercer," he said. "I don't know what you are, or what just happened, but I'm glad you're safe." She nodded. "We were lost. You brought us back." There was silence for a moment. Then one of the other Ilari spoke, pointing to Eli, her mate. He said in a quiet voice. Eli froze. What did he say? Solari looked down, her cheeks glowing faintly. In our culture, she said slowly, the one who frees us with kindness becomes part of our soul. We call him Savantel. It means life mate. Eli stared at her. Wait, you think we're— She nodded. I glowed, because I knew the bond was real. He rubbed the back of his neck. This is going to be a long story. She smiled gently. Outside, the stars kept moving, but something new had begun. Not just a rescue mission. Not just another ship saved from the darkness. This time, something brighter had awakened. Captain Eli Mercer walked through the quiet halls of the asteroid outpost, his boots echoing softly. It was a hidden base, deep inside a rocky field in the outer systems. No flags, no laws, just a place for those trying to survive or stay hidden. After the rescue, he had brought the Alari here. It was the safest place he knew, far from Coldrith eyes. The outpost's medic team had agreed to check the Alari for injuries. So far, most of them were healthy, just weak, tired, and quiet. Their bodies had been starved of light, and now they needed time to heal. But one of them, Salari, was not like the rest. She sat near a small light in the medical wing, her skin glowing gently like golden silk. The lines across her arms and neck shimmered in patterns, almost like they were dancing to her heartbeat. Eli stood by the door, watching her. She hasn't stopped glowing since you brought her here, said Dr. Kern, the outpost's lead doctor. It's like her energy returned all at once. The others are starting to glow too, but not like her. She said something happened when I freed her, Eli replied. Some kind of bond. Dr. Kern nodded slowly. It's biological. I scanned her. That glow isn't just pretty, it's real energy. And it's tied to emotions. Especially strong ones. Eli didn't say anything. He remembered the moment again when he took off her collar and said she was free. How her light came alive. How her voice shook when she whispered Savantel. He still didn't understand the word completely, but he felt the weight of it. As he stepped closer, Solari looked up at him and smiled. You came back. I never left, he said. I've been nearby. She stood slowly, her feet bare on the cool floor. I was afraid you would leave after the rescue. Why would I do that? Because most people do, she said simply. They save what they can, and move on. Eli looked at her carefully. But I'm not most people. Her glow brightened a little. I know. They sat together on a bench by the wall. A soft humming sound filled the room, the low music of the outpost's energy core. It was peaceful. I wanted to ask you about that word, Eli said after a while. Savantel. She looked down, fingers resting on her lap. It is old. From before our people were taken. It means something sacred to us. Life mate, Eli said. That's what you called me. She nodded. Not just a mate. It means the one who frees us, not only with hands, but with heart. One who sees us as equal, who does not use power but gives it back. Eli scratched his chin. I didn't mean to bond or whatever. I just did what I thought was right. You didn't choose it, she said softly, but your soul did. He blinked. That's a lot to take in. I understand. She turned her face toward him. You don't have to accept it. You are free, too. He chuckled. That's the funny part. I've been running for so long, I don't even know what freedom feels like anymore. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Solari said, my people are beginning to believe again, to hope. That's good, but the Coldrith won't stop. They will come for you. And for us, I know, Eli said. There's already a bounty on my head. It's not the first time. Solari looked at him carefully. You're not afraid? He shrugged. Of course I am, but fear's part of the job. You just keep moving. Solari stood and walked toward the window. Outside, the stars glowed softly. When we were taken, they kept us in the dark. No light, no song. Our skin faded. Our hearts dimmed. And when I freed you, Eli said, standing beside her, I remembered what we used to be, she whispered. He looked at her glowing lines. Is it true your glow is tied to your emotions? Yes. When we are free and safe, we glow. When we feel hope, love, strength, the light comes back. That's amazing. It's also dangerous, she said. If we fall into sadness for too long or lose all light, we fade. Some of us die. Eli felt a lump in his throat. I didn't know, now you do. Suddenly the door burst open. A young outpost scout ran in, out of breath. Captain Mercer. We've picked up a ship. Small, fast Coldrith markings. Eli's body stiffened. Are they tracking us? Unclear, sir, but they're scanning the asteroid field. Eli turned to Salary. Stay here. I'll handle it. She reached for his arm. Let me come. No, he said firmly. It's too risky. I can help. I know their language. Their minds. He paused, looking at her glowing face. Part of him wanted to protect her, but another part knew she wasn't weak, alright, but stay close. The docking bay lit up as Eli's ship powered on. Solari stepped inside beside him, her glow dimmed for stealth. The Caldrith scout ship appeared on the radar just a few kilometers away now. Eli pushed the engines and slipped into the black. They circled behind the enemy ship, quiet and fast. Eli locked on with targeting sensors, ready to fire if needed. But then Solari said, "Wait, what? I know that ship, that signal. They are not here to attack." Eli hesitated. "You sure?" She closed her eyes, and her glow flickered. Faintly, "Yes, that ship. It carries another Illyri." Eli blinked. "Another one?" "Yes, one I thought was lost." He sighed. "All right, let's board it carefully." A few minutes later, they stood inside the Caldrith scout vessel. It was nearly empty except for one guard, already unconscious thanks to Solari's light wave, and a single Illyri in a glass chamber. His glow was barely there. Solari rushed forward. "His name is Vale. He was my friend before the capture." Eli opened the chamber. The man fell into Solari's arms, weak but alive. "You saved me," Vale whispered. "No," she said. "He did." He looked at Eli and gave a tired nod. "You are the Savantel, then?" Eli sighed. "So now I've got a title." Solari smiled, holding her friend close. "No, Captain. You have something far more powerful." "What's that?" She met his eyes. "You have a place in our hearts." The stars outside the station drifted in silence. In the medical wing, soft light glowed once again, not from machines, but from the skin of the ILARI. Captain Eli Mercer leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching them. The newly rescued Illyri man Vale was slowly recovering. His glow was dim, but it pulsed steadily now. His breath had grown calm. He no longer looked like a prisoner. He looked like someone waking from a long dream. Solari sat beside him, speaking in soft words. Eli couldn't understand, but he didn't need to. He could feel the warmth between them, old friends, reunited after years of fear. It made something in his chest tighten, though he didn't know why. Dr. Kern stepped beside him and whispered, "He's stable now." "Lucky. You found him when you did." "Wasn't luck," Eli replied. She felt him. The doctor raised an eyebrow. "They have a kind of connection, seems like it." Eli didn't mention the word Savantel. It still sounded too heavy in his mind. Like a chain made of gold. He walked away and headed toward the command room. The outpost scanners were still picking up unusual signals in the nearby systems. The Caldrith had clearly started searching. He knew it was only a matter of time before a bigger force arrived. As he studied the data, a soft voice spoke behind him. "You're troubled." Eli turned to find Solari standing in the doorway. Her glow was softer now, calm and even. "You should rest," he said. "I will, but first, I need to speak with you." He nodded and gestured for her to sit beside him. She did, folding her hands in her lap. "I remember more now," she said, "about my people, about the Caldrith, and about something they never understood." "What is it?" She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly. "Our light. It is not just energy, it is memory. Every Illyri carries a part of our history inside, passed through generations, like a river." Eli leaned in. "You mean, like genetic memory?" "Yes. When we are free, and the glow returns, so do the old memories. That is why I knew Vale was near, and it is why I now remember something important." She paused, then said, "There is a place, a world. Long ago, our kind hid there when the war began. It holds something powerful, something the Caldrith could never find." Eli frowned. "A weapon, no," she said. "A truth." He looked at the map on the screen. "Can you show me?" She placed her glowing hand on the console. The light from her palm flowed into it, and a star system appeared. A small blue planet blinked in the corner of the screen. "There," she said. "We called it Ilia. It is hidden by light, cloaked by the energy of our ancestors." Eli studied. We'd have to pass through Caldrith space to get there." "Yes." He sat back and rubbed his face. "Dangerous. I understand if you don't want to take us." Eli looked at her. "I didn't say that." She tilted her head. "You would risk your life again." "I already did," he said. "Twice." She smiled gently. "Then perhaps you are one of us now." Eli sighed. "I didn't sign up to be a chosen one." "No," she said softly, "but you chose us." 2 days later, Eli's ship, the Silver Wing, slipped into space once again. This time, it carried not just passengers, but Hope Solari, Vale, and 3 more Illyri joined the trip. The rest remained on the outpost, hidden and protected. If anything happened to Eli's team, at least some Illyri would survive. The journey was long and quiet at first, but halfway through, Alarms blared. A Coldrith scout had spotted them. Evasive maneuvers, Eli shouted, gripping the controls. Laser fire streaked past the ship. Vale moved to the rear turret. Though weak, he had recovered enough to defend. Scifi stood in the center of the ship, her hands raised, her glow brightened, and a shimmering field of energy spread over the hull. What's she doing? Eli asked. She's shielding us, Vale said, overcomes. It's a power only few, Ilari, remember, but the bond she shares with you awakened it, Eli muttered. I really hope that bond's worth something. The ship rocked as another blast hit, but the shield held. The Coldrith fighter turned sharply, clearly surprised. Then, without warning, it vanished into warp. Did we scare them off? Eli asked. No, Sailory said softly. They're going to call for more. Eli cursed under his breath. Then we'd better move. A few hours later, the ship reached the edge of the hidden system. As they neared the planet called Elia, the stars around them dimmed. A soft golden mist surrounded the ship. It shimmered with light, warm, welcoming. The ship's scanners failed, but the glow guided them. It's beautiful, Eli whispered. It is the light of our ancestors, Sailari said. It kept this world hidden for centuries. They descended gently through the mist and landed on a smooth crystal plain. All around, the planet glowed with soft light. Trees sparkled with silver leaves. Rivers flowed like liquid starlight. Eli stepped out first, eyes wide. I've never seen anything like this. No outsider has, Sailori replied. Until now. They walked together through the glowing forest. At the center, they found a great stoner circle covered in the same patterns on Solari's skin that as she stepped forward, her glow grew until it matched the markings. The stone responded, pulsing with light. A voice filled the air, not from a speaker, not from a mouth, but from the stone itself. Savantel has returned. Eli froze. Wait, is that talking about me? Solari smiled. Yes, this place remembers, just like us. The light surrounded him now, warm, bright, peaceful, and yet, something stirred in the distance, a shadow in the light. Vale pointed to the sky. Ships. Coldrith warships, 3 of them had broken through the mist. Eli stepped in front of Sailari. We're not ready for a fight. You don't have to fight alone, she said. Then she took his hand, and something happened. His chest warmed. A glow faint but real spread across his skin, not as bright as hers, but it was there. Eli looked at her in shock. What is this? You carry our light now, she whispered. You are part of us. The ships began to descend, narrowed his eyes. Then let's show them what it means to stand in the light. Above the glowing trees of Elia, the skies were no longer calm. 3 Coldrith warships hovered like shadows, dark and heavy. Their engines hummed through the clouds. They had broken through the light mist that had protected the planet for centuries. Now, they were preparing to land. Captain Eli Mercer stood in front of the ancient stone circle, hand in hand with Solari. Around them, the air shimmered. The planet itself seemed to be waking up. Solari's glow was steady, bright, and strong. Eli's skin pulsed faintly with a soft light too, not as bright as hers but real. He looked at her. You said the Coldrith couldn't find this place. They couldn't, she said. Not until now. He understood immediately, because I brought a ship. Human technology. Yes, she said with guilt in her eyes. And because the light has returned, it called to us, but it called to them, too. From the distance, Vale ran toward them, his breath fast. They've landed troops at the mountain ridge. Scouts, drones and more are coming. Eli turned toward his ship. We can fight. I have weapons, but they have numbers, Vale said. Too many. Silari stepped forward. Then we must protect this place the Ilari way. Eli narrowed his eyes. How she placed her hand on the ancient stone. It pulsed once. Then the ground rumbled. From beneath the soil, pillars of glowing stone rose into the air. Vines wrapped around them. The light grew brighter, and suddenly, more Ilari stepped out from the forest. The rivers, even the crystal caves. They had heard the call. There were at least 30 of them now, glowing, peaceful, but with strength in their eyes. They came from the old sanctuary, Solari whispered. They've been hiding here for generations. Eli stared at them in amazement. You weren't alone all this time. No, she said, but now we are together. A deep sound echoed from the hills like a horn, but twisted and metallic. It was the Coldrith signal to attack. Eli's voice turned sharp. Positions. We hold the valley. The ancient circle must be protected. The Ilari formed a ring around the clearing. Their glowing bodies formed a shield of light. The forest trees bent slightly toward them, as if listening. Eli took command, directing defense points and ordering his ship's autocannons to aim toward the ridge. Vale manned the small weapon station with a calm focus. For someone who had nearly died days ago, he looked ready to stand again. And in the center, Solari stood with her hands raised. They won't understand, she said softly. Eli glanced at her. Understand what? That light does not fight with hate. The Coldrith troops marched through the mountain pass, black armor reflecting no light. Their ships roared above. Drones flew ahead, scanning targets. The first shots rang out, blaster fire sizzling into the crystal ground. Eli's ship returned fire, knocking a drone from the sky. Then the Alari raised their hands, and the forest answered. Vines sprang from the earth, wrapping around the enemy's legs. Crystals shot beams of soft light, blinding, not burning. The Coldrith scattered, confused. They had never faced a defense like this. Eli fired a pulse rifle from behind cover, protecting an Alari who had tripped. This is working, but more. Coldrith poured in. They sent larger machines, heavy bots with cannon arms. The sky darkened with their shadows. Vale yelled over the noise. Their second wave is arriving. We won't last unless suddenly. The stone in the center of the circle burst with light. Sailory stood inside the circle now, her body shining brighter than ever before. She had closed her eyes, chanting in a soft, ancient tone. She doing? Eli shouted. Vale stared in awe. She's awakening the full memory of the Alari, the final power. Eli ran toward her. Sailari, you'll burn yourself out. She opened her eyes slowly. Her glow was no longer just gold, it shimmered in white and blue, dancing like fire and water. This is what the Coldrith feared most, she said calmly. Not weapons, not ships, but the truth we carry. The ground beneath the Coldrith forces split. Light poured through the cracks. Machines stopped moving. Troops dropped their weapons, confused. Some even fell to their knees. Eli looked around. What's happening to them? Sailari stepped forward. They are seeing what? Their own darkness, their own choices. The light reveals it to them. The Coldrith screamed, some retreating. Their ships pulled back, engines stalling. And then silence. The battle was over. Eli breathed hard, heart racing. He turned to Salari, who had dropped to her knees. He ran to her, holding her gently. Hey, stay with me. She smiled weakly. I am here. You did it. You did it. Saved them. All of us. No, she whispered. We saved each other. Her light faded slightly, but not completely. It was no longer glowing out of fear or survival but peace. The other Ilari approached and stood around them in a wide circle. Vale spoke first. This world is safe again, but now, because of her, and because of you. Eli helped Sailari too. Her feet. So, what happens now? One of the older Ilari, a woman with glowing eyes and silver hair, stepped forward. We rebuild. We remember and we thank the Savantel. Sailari placed her hand on Eli's chest. Will you stay? He hesitated. I'm not sure I belong here. You do, she said, because you gave us something more powerful than light. You gave us choice. He looked at the Ilari, at their peaceful faces, at the glowing valley and the healed land, and at her. Then yeah, he said, I'll stay. For a while. She smiled, resting her head lightly against his shoulder, and the valley glowed again. Weeks had passed since the battle in the Valley of Light. The planet Elia was peaceful again. The Coldrith had not returned. Something had changed after the fight, not just on the battlefield, but in the hearts of those who witnessed the truth. The light that Sailori awakened had spread far, touching even the darkest corners of space. Some Coldrith soldiers had laid down their weapons and vanished. Others sent no messages back. Silence followed, and for the first time in generations, the Ilari lived without fear. Captain Eli Mercer stood on a high cliff, looking over the glowing forests below. The sky was clear, and the stars above shimmered softly, like they were watching. Behind him, Solari approached. She wore a long white robe made from threads of light. Her glow had settled into a calm golden hue, no longer wild or burning. It was the glow of peace. You wake early, she said gently. Old habits, Eli replied. Soldiers never sleep easy. You are no longer just a soldier. He turned to her. No, then what am I now? She stepped closer, taking his hand. You are Savantel, the one who chose freedom for another, even when there was no reward. He looked into her eyes. I didn't do it for a title. I know, she said with a soft smile. That's why you were worthy of it. Below them, the Ilari were building homes again, not of metal or stone, but of crystal and light. The old city was rising from the earth, shaped by memory and energy. It was not just a return to the past, it was a new beginning. Vale had taken a leadership role among the builders. Though still quiet, his voice now carried strength. Others listened to him, not because he ordered them, but because they trusted him. Eli and Solari walked down the hill together. Along the path, young children chased beams of light that flickered through the trees. They laughed, their glow playful and bright. One little girl paused and looked up at Eli. "Are you the human who made our queen glow?" Eli blinked. "Ah well, I guess so. She still glows when she looks at you." The girl giggled, then ran off. Eli turned to Solari, his face red. She laughed softly. "They watch us closely. You have become part of our stories. I never meant to." Sometimes, the best stories are the ones that grow without being planned. They reached the city center, where a great hall was being built. It was made around the ancient stone circle, the same one where the battle had turned. Eli saw symbols being carved into the pillars. Some he recognized from Solari's skin, others were new. He pointed. "What do those mean?" Solari ran her fingers across the carvings. "These are names. Yours, mine, Vale. The names of those who stood together. They'll remember us. For as long as the light remembers." Eli fell silent for a moment, watching the Alari work. Then he asked, "What happens now?" Solari looked at him. "Now we live. Now we build. Now we become more than what the Coldrith tried to break." He nodded. "What about Earth, the human colonies? You may return to them, if you wish. You are free." Eli hesitated. "That word again. It means more to you now, doesn't it?" He nodded. "Yeah, it does." That night, a celebration was held under the twin moons of Elia. Crystals glowed in the trees like lanterns. The Alari danced slowly, their movements flowing like water. Songs filled the air, old and new, sing in a language Eli still didn't fully understand, but felt in his chest at the center. Solari stood with him. The Alari elder from before approached, carrying a staff made of light. "It is time," she said. Eli looked around. "Time for what?" "To speak your choice, to speak her choice." Solari turned to him and spoke clearly, so all could hear. "I choose the one who gave me light without asking for anything in return. I choose Eli." The crowd waited. Eli felt his heart pound. He stepped forward and said, "I choose the one who taught me that freedom isn't just escape, it's belonging. I choose Solari." A gentle wave of light swept across the clearing. The Alari raised their hands, and the air shimmered like a sunrise. The elder smiled. "Then by the light you are joined." It wasn't marriage in the human sense. There were no rings, no vows, just light and truth. Later, as the celebration continued, Eli sat beside Solari under the stars. "Do you miss your world?" she asked. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But I've never felt more alive than I do here. You gave up much. I gained more." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Then perhaps you are Ilari now," he smiled. "Just don't expect me to glow as bright." She looked at him with a warm gaze. "You don't have to. I see your light even when you don't." He held her close, and for the first time in a long while, Eli Mercer felt at home, not because of where he was, but because of who he was with. And above them, the stars kept shining, peaceful, eternal. End of story.